Yo, RX back with another breakdown of UFC Vegas 89, Ribas versus Namajunas. We back with another breakdown, and we are back in the fucking apex. The good thing is, I don't think this card is as bad as last week's on paper, and I hope, I knock on all the fucking wood, that this cannot be and won't be as bad as last week's in execution, because last week's was one of the shittiest cards I've seen in a long time. This card on paper has all the makings of not to being that bad, but again, it's the Apex, and I expect nothing but sadness. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. I think the same number of fights as last week, 13, maybe as one off. But, yeah, should be a fun night of fights. On paper, it's a fun card. Breaking it down won't be fun, because a lot of these fights are definitely difficult to predict and break down. But either way, I'm going to give you my picks, not my bets, because I don't bet. Don't bet based off what I think. And, I would not advise betting on this card, because you're going to lose some money. I feel like this card's going to end with a lot of parlays not cashing, a lot of picks, mine especially, going to be wrong, and that's that. But I guess we'll see what happens. All I have left to say before I get into the breakdown is, please like, comment, subscribe. 100 subs go by the end of 2024, and unless I'm going to say something, as always, let's break down some fights. 13 fights in total in a very okay card, and we begin the night in the heavyweight division. That's never a good thing. As we begin the night with Mohammed the Motor Usman versus Mick Parkin. Low heavyweight. Mick Parkin is actually stepping in for Chris Barnett, who pulled out a long time ago. I feel like a couple weeks ago, if not a month ago. So yeah, it's a short notice fight, but it's not super short for Mick. I wish it told me when he pulled out and all that, but I don't think it does. Where is it? Yeah, it doesn't. But by the way, Tapology's update, really great. But yeah, it's short notice replacement, but not like as short as some other ones on this card or in general. So, yeah, either way, it's a shit fight, and let's talk about Mohammed Usman first. Mohammed in the UFC is 3-0, coming off winning the Ultimate Fighter. To win the Ultimate Fighter, he knocked out Ponga. We all have seen that clip by now, and then in his last two fights, he has beaten Junior Tafa and Jake Collier. He is not good. I guess the first word. He has the last name. He ain't as good as Kamaru in his prime. He ain't as good as Kamaru right now. He has zero fucking striking. He throws a lot of punches, but they're just winging power shots that are very easily dodgeable unless you're a bum like Zach Ponga. All he's trying to do is get you to the ground, and we've seen that in his last two fights against Collier and Junior. That's all he's been doing, is trying to get you to the ground, and it makes sense. Like, he's been fighting a lot of, like, powerful strikers like Junior and Jake. So, and he's been rocked by both those guys. So we've seen him, at least he has a decent chin. He has a pretty decent chin, because Junior Tafa rocked him a good amount of times. Jake Collier popped him once or twice. And those guys might not be good fighters, but they do hit hard. So that is something. But yeah, Mo is not a great fighter. I'm not even calling him a prospect, because he's not a good fighter, like I said. But he has a last name, and he is a good wrestler. Which, if you're related to Kamaru fucking Usman, you better be a good wrestler, and he is. He's very strong. Even later in fights when he's tired, he still can get you to the ground just because you're tired as well. We saw that in the Collier and Tafa fight. And yeah, Mo is a very basic fighter, but for how shit heavyweight is, he can still win fights. So yeah, you can beat him striking pretty soundly. it's stopping those takedowns where you're going to have real issues. And again, we've seen that lately with his fights. So let's see if he can keep the streak going. As we talk about his opponent, Mick Parkin, stepping on short notice. Mick in UFC is 2-0, coming out Contender Series. In his 2 UFC fights, he has beaten Jamal Pogues and Caio Machado. And yeah, he's not good. He's somehow even worse than Mo, I would say. He's just a really shit, slow striker. And the Jamal Pogues fight, he just picked Pogues apart pretty easily, as you should. But then in his last fight against Machado, he looked like shit. He literally looked terrible. His striking looked terrible. He had to rely on his wrestling, which he's not even that good at. Like, he sucks. He really fucking sucks. And a lot of people say he lost that fight against Machado, which says a lot, because Caio Machado was a joke. So, like, I'm not impressed with this dude at all. He looked good in Contender Series, but he beat a tomato can. Since coming to the UFC, he's had 2 boring fights, and he's not even looked good in his last one. He looked fine against Jamal Pogues, but that's Jamal Pogues, the bottom of the barrel when it comes to heavyweights. So I don't see much for Mick in the future. Like, I know he trains with guys like Tom Aspinall, but he's not even he could not even tie Tom Aspinall's fucking gloves. Like, he could not even wrap Aspinall's fucking gloves. So, yeah, Parkin's not good. And his fighting style is also basic. It's just, I'm going to strike with you very slowly, and I'll be able to be a better striker. And this, again, has worked so far. I think this fight could really be where that could really fall apart, because on the feet, he is the better striker, but not by much. And on the ground, come on. So this is gonna be an interesting one. One of these guys are gonna take an L, and it's gonna really not be great for them, because they are 2 guys the UFC does want to build up at heavyweight, because you got a British dude on one side who they love the British fighters, because all they have is one good one, or 2 at MVP and Aspinall, and you got Usman, who had that last name and the same. He won tough like his brother. Can he win the belt like his brother? Fuck no. So yeah, one of these prospects quotation marks are gonna take an L. Who's it gonna be? The betting odds think it's going to be Mohammed Usman, with Mick Parkin being minus 150 to plus 125. I think those odds have shrunk a little bit over the week, but they're still around that range. There are a lot of people are on Parkin, which I do get. If you're looking at this as a striking match, Parkin will win it. But you gotta factor in a few things. Wrestling, like I said, no question Usman's better on the ground. If Parkin even considers going for a takedown, he's going to get fucking embarrassed, and he's going to get thrown onto his back. Experience, Mo has more. Fucking gas tank. Neither guy has a good gas tank, but who do I think has a better one? Mohammed Usman. The motor, for a reason. Like, a lot of signs are pointing to Usman winning this fight, in my opinion. Outside of the striking disadvantage, and it's not even a big one at that, I think Usman can win this fight. I would not be shocked if he did. If he took Parkin's O, it would not be shocking to me in the slightest, and I would be more surprised if he didn't to an extent. So, and I don't agree with the betting odds. Maybe you could say this is a pick'em, or you could just go Usman as the favorite. I don't really see Parkin as the favorite after that Machado fight. Like, he looked like shit against a can. Now he's getting a step up. Like, this is his first, like, actual real challenge in UFC. And again, that's saying a lot, because heavyweight sucks ass. That Mohammed Usman is a challenge. But I don't know. I'm gonna stop rambling on about this shitty fight and tell you who I think's gonna win. I'm gonna start the night off with an underdog. I'm gonna go Mohammed Usman. I think he'll be able to take Parkin to the ground, gas him out, and then just continue doing that for 15 minutes and win. On the feet, I don't think there's any threat of him getting KO'd. My biggest worry with this is him not being able to get takedowns and just getting beat up for 15 minutes on the feet, but I don't see that happening. Because, again, he's not that bad on the feet compared to Parkin. He's definitely not the better striker, but he's definitely not a pushover on the feet in this fight. So, I'm going to go with Mohammed Usman to get the upset and to take Parkin's O. And I'm going to say Mohammed Usman by decision. I say we begin the night with an upset. I think that's a perfect way to start the night because this fucking card's kind of a clusterfuck of close fights. And I'm going to go Mohammed Usman by decision. Let's start tonight off with an upset. Let's see if I look stupid right off rip. I usually do. Mohammed Usman by decision. Now we get into our second fight of the night in the flyweight division, which we have two debuting guys, and I think this is another fight that changed, so I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, this is definitely not an easy fight to predict in my opinion. Kind of a fucking two debuting guys and two guys I barely remember from Contender Series, so that's great. I'm probably getting this pick wrong. I can't wait. As in our second fight of the night, we have Igor Severino versus André Mascotti Lima. I'm pretty sure is Igor stepping in for someone? No, I swear. Okay, I guess they did just outright book this fight. I feel like they didn't, but whatever. Yeah, this is a debut versus debut. Never know what to expect. Let's talk about Igor Severino. I'm saying that wrong. I'm sorry. Igor, like I said, is making his UFC debut, coming out Contender Series, where he did get a second round finish of Gianta Silva. He looked alright in that fight. He looked alright. Nothing special about his performance from what I remember. He got a finish and he got a contract. Like he's, I think, the second youngest fighter on the roster or some shit, if I heard correctly. Like he's really young at 20 years old. So yeah, there's that. 8-0. Again, he looked fine on Contender Series. He only finishes in his career so far 4 apiece, and we'll see if he can continue the streak and keep his O. I got really little to say. Excuse me. I really don't remember much about him on a Contender Series. Maybe that's my fault, but I really don't remember him being one of those guys to keep an eye on from Contender Series. I remember him just being a very fine fighter. I do see he goes to shoot the box, which is definitely an interesting thing to keep in mind. And, yeah, I guess we'll see how he does in his UFC debut, because again, I remember very little. My bad. And to talk about his opponent, André Lima, just like Igor, he is also making his UFC debut, as I've said. On Contender Series, he did not have as good of a performance, mainly because his opponent, Rickson, did not fight. He ran around the cage, barely threw any punches, laid on his back. He barely fought, so you can't really blame Lima for that. He was a 10 times better fighter, and he made Rickson pretty much mentally and physically quit. So, yeah. Lima, I think I was a little more impressed with, if I remember. Well, not even. I don't think I was impressed with either guy, because I kind of just, like, they both looked fine. Like, these are two dudes who fall into the category of Contender Series signings that were fine. Like, we've seen, we have one later tonight from last season. Tonight later on the card from last season that was a great one. But then we've had some pretty shit ones, like Kyle Machado, who I just talked about with Parkin. So these two fall into the mid-tier category, from what I remember. Neither looked super great. But, yeah. And just like Igor, Lima, I remembered a little, but I don't remember him being bad. 5 years older than Igor, 5 KOs, 2 decisions. We'll see what he can do. We'll see what happens. Anything else I want to bring up with Lima? Yeah, he has a lot more bouts, a lot of kickboxing bouts. That's interesting. Yeah, the betting odds for this fight have André Lima minus 185 to plus 150. Sure, I don't really know if I can dispute that, because again, I'm not really sure what I can say about these guys. I would put it as a pick'em in my opinion, because I think both, I don't remember much, but I would have a pick'em from what little I remember, but I'm guessing these are probably correct odds, because I really can't say. it's hard to say I don't agree. So, yeah, I don't know. I know I'm kind of just saying a bunch of words that mean nothing here. And I know this is a shit breakdown, but I don't do tape study. I watch fights. I try to remember them, and if I don't, I don't. I cry about it in the comments. I don't care. Who am I picking this fight? I'm going to go for the dude who I remember a little more about and who I had a lot bigger of a record and experience and all that, and that is André Lima. I remember, Lima has a lot more experience. I just showed all his kickboxing bouts, so he's definitely more experienced. And I do remember being a little more impressed with him, because he did just mentally break his opponent more than Igor for getting a decent finish. So, yeah, I could see this going either way. Whoever wins. I'm not going to be upset if I get this wrong, but I am going to go André Lima to get the win here. I think his experience and his striking ability can lead him to victory, because Igor definitely wants to get to the ground, looking at all those kickboxing bouts from Lima, so, and you're a shoot-to-box member, so you definitely want to get to the ground, so, yeah, I'm going to go André Lima. Am I going to be wrong? Probably. Am I upset about it? No. But someone's going to lose an O, and I'm going to say it's going to be Igor, so I'm going André Lima by decision. The recap for that fight will be better than the breakdown, because I'll actually have watched them fight. I'm sorry for a shit breakdown. I'm not doing tape study. Cry about it in the car. André Lima by decision. Next. After that, one of the most interesting fights of the night, in my opinion. A fight I'm actually pretty excited for, which I know you can cry about that also, because I know you see two women fighters and you fucking lose your mind, most people. But I'm a normal person who enjoys MMA, and I think this is a decent fight, and I'm excited for it. So, to actually talk about it, in our third fight of the night, in the women's bantamweight division, we have Montserrat Monster Rendon versus Darya Zheleznyakova. Fuck you, I said it right. Did I have to look up how you say that? Yes, I don't. Shut up. Yeah. We got two prospects, quotation marks, because Rendon is 35, but we do have two prospects here, and I'm very intrigued in this fight. I think this could be, I don't know if it's going to be a good fight. I'm not going to make that promise, because I think I might be lying, but I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued. So, let's start with talking about Rendon. Rendon in UFC is 1-0. In her UFC debut, she beat Tamez Vidal. She looked alright. She looked very alright. I was wrong about that fight. I knew nothing about her, so I picked her to lose, and I came up looking stupid. Yeah, she looked fine, but she did fight a terrible fighter like Vidal, and even in that, she didn't look amazing. She did clearly win, but she didn't, like, fucking dominate or look amazing. She just showed she was a better fighter than Vidal, which, again, I ain't saying much. Vidal's a terrible fighter, and, Rendon looked good though. Rendon did look okay. Her striking looked alright. Her ground game she was much bigger of a fighter too. Much bigger. So yeah, she looked all around well in that fight. She didn't really show anything bad in that fight. But I think in this fight we'll definitely get to see more of her either weaknesses or abilities, because Vidal is definitely a step down from who she's fighting in this fight, in my opinion. So I'm interested to see more of Rendon's skill set, or lack thereof. We'll see. So yeah, she's undefeated. Let's see if not 3 fights in a row for undefeated fighters. Will she keep her O? We'll see. 35 years old. She looks okay in her debut, but she has a tall task ahead of her. For her opponent, we have Darya Zheleznyakova. Darya is making her UFC debut, no contender series, no nothing. They just signed her straight up, which means they have high hopes for her. Not a lot of good luck for those fighters lately, but you know, Darya is 8-1, coming from Errens, right? Errens, where she got a finish in her last fight. I've heard a few good things about her. I heard she's fun. She's a fun fighter. I've heard she has KO power, which she has. How many finishes? It's 5 TKOs or knockouts. So that's interesting. She's Russian, so she does have the ability to go to the ground, and we'll see. Female Russian. We'll see if she gets special treatment like the guys. Will she only have to win 2 fights before she gets a title shot? Islam. So, I'm very intrigued in Zheleznyakova debut to just get signed up outright. Oh, how she beat Jojua. Just get signed outright, 8-1 record, 28 years old. Women's bantamweight needs any bit of fucking talent they can get, because your champion's Raquel fucking Pennington, and she's gonna fight Juliana Pena next. No one on earth wants to watch that fight. We need talent in that division ASAP. Like last week, we did see Chelsea Chandler and Macy Chiasson look really good. Are those champion level fighters? No, but they're good ranked fighters, and that's the problem with bantamweight. Anyone can be a champion because everyone kind of is So hopefully one of these two fighters, or even both, I'm not going to say a loss means they suck, but hopefully one of these two can at least show some ability and show some promise, because again, women's bantamweight's the worst division in the UFC right now. Maybe. Is it better than heavyweight? Oof. But besides the point, I'm intrigued in this one. I'm excited. The betting odds for this fight have Zheleznyakova minus 175 to plus 140. I don't know. Again, I'd never seen Zheleznyakova fight. You could push this out to a pick'em probably in what I would have it. I'm intrigued to see Zheleznyakova. I know I've already seen Rendon, and I was not impressed, but I was not disappointed. I'm in the mid tier of Rendon. I was like, okay, she looked all right. Let's see how she does in let's say a step up in competition. If you're worse than Vidal, there's a problem, and we'll see how she performed. On the feet, I'm guessing she's probably at a disadvantage, because like I said, Zheleznyakova has a lot more finishes. The Rendon has 0. Much younger, taller by an inch. I don't know her reach, but I guarantee it's probably about the same, if not maybe a little shorter than Rendon's. On the ground, I don't know. Rendon, I think, has won some like the Mexican I think Moram last week was like some gold medalist in Brazil. I think Rendon is in Mexico. So she is good on the ground, but you're fighting a Russian. I can think of maybe 1 or 2 Russian fighters who are not good on the ground. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but you know I'm right. So we'll see what happens here. I'm very intrigued to see what happens. And I think I'm going to go with... Give me the debuting fighter. Give me a Zheleznyakova. I want to see something impressive here in her debut. I don't want to see her get fraud checked. If she does get fraud checked, that's fine. But at 135 needs talent. She has a shiny record, 8-1. She's only 28 years old, which Rendon is 35. And again, Rendon did 0 finishes in 6 fights. It's also not an appealing thing. So I like Rendon. I think she does have talent, but I'm going to go for the debuting fighter here. I'm going to give Zheleznyakova a chance to show how good she is. And I guess we'll see what happens. My pick is going to be Darya Zheleznyakova by decision. Going to be interesting. Rendon going to need to rely on her wrestling probably. And again, is that going to work? Probably not. Probably not. Am I going to get in trouble for these jokes, for saying this shit? She's Russian. She should be able to wrestle. It's like a Brazilian who can't go to the ground. Come on. Come on. I'm not being an asshole. Whatever. Zheleznyakova by decision. We'll see what happens. After that, we go to one of the easiest fights on the card to predict, which is fun. It's really nice to actually get one of those, because this card does not have many easy fights to predict, but this one we have one, as in our 4th fight of the night. Yep. In our 4th fight of the night in the featherweight division, we have Steven the Ninja Nguyen versus Jarno Errens. It's a fight. It's not a good fight. It's a fight. Well, let's talk about Steven Nguyen. Still don't know how this is win, but I don't know shit, apparently. Steven is making his UFC debut, like half the fighters on this fucking card. Coming off Contender Series, he did have to go to Contender Series 3 times. He lost the first time, went there 2 more times, and won. He looked good on Contender Series when I saw him fight Cunningham, but he did fight the human punching bag that is AJ Cunningham. So, and you did lose to Alon Cruz, who's a joke, so I expect a little bit better in that regard. But, yeah, he looks good on Contender Series. He's getting a layup debut here. I guess we'll see how he does. I'm not really sure, what to say. His striking looks good on Contender Series. Like, that's wow. He beat up AJ Cunningham. There's not very much to talk about. Like, yeah, I'm not impressed with you beating up the human punching bag that is AJ Cunningham. Let's see how you do in UFC, bro. Let's see how you do in UFC. Nothing like that. I got nothing to say about Nguyen. Let's see how he does in the big show. To talk about his opponent, Jarno. Errens Jarno in the UFC is 0-2. In his 2 UFC fights, he has fought William Gomez and Sungwoo Choi. He looked like shit in both fights. He looked a little bit better against Choi, but is that because Choi is a shit fighter, or is Errens getting better? I say it's the first one because Choi is a shit fighter who always gets beat up somehow, but he won that fight, so. Errens is a bad fighter. His striking ain't good, his cardio ain't good, his wrestling ain't good. Like, in his 2, he's just shown really nothing good. Like, in his 2 fights he's been wrestled, like, we've not really seen him get to strike, but I already feel like he's not a good striker, because nothing else in his game's good, so. He had 3 wins by KO, but come on. And he has, I guess he is mainly a grappler, but you were out-wrestled by Sungwoo fucking Choi. So, like, what's the deal here, man? Yeah, Errens is a terrible fighter, and I have no faith in him actually doing anything. This will probably be his last UFC fight, because he will lose. And, yeah, he'll probably be walking out the door with a pink slip by the end of this card, so. Yeah, not very much to say. Errens is a pretty shit fighter. The back answer this fight have Stephen Nguyen at minus 220 to plus 175. Sure, I kind of disagree. The win at 200 is fine. He should win this fight pretty easily. Jarno is a pretty terrible fighter, and I see Nguyen being able to win this without much issue. So, yeah, I'm going to go Stephen Nguyen to win this fight, and I'm going to go by... I'm feeling a finish. I don't know why I'm feeling a finish here. I'm going to go win by TKO in a second. I feel like he can really put a beating on Errens early, maybe fuck up his body or something, and then put him down later in the fight. So that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go Stephen win by TKO in a second. Yeah, that sounds about right. Errens is just a joke, and win. Let's see how you do against someone who might actually throw a punch back at you, but still not a giant step up. Either way, Stephen win by TKO in a second. Let's see what happens. After that, we go to our 6th fight of the night in the men's bantamweight division, and this is a banger. I cannot fucking wait for this fight. This could easily be 5 of the night. This is gonna be a banger. As in our 6th fight, oh no, 5th fight of the night, right? No, it's 6. Yeah, what? Guys, where's 5th? Don't know, it is the 5th fight of the night, just Tapology can't fucking count. As in our 5th fight of the night, in the bantamweight division, we have Miles Chapo Johns versus Cody the Renegade Gibson. This is gonna be a great fight. I can't wait. I cannot wait. Let's talk about Miles Johns. Miles in the UFC is 4-2-1. His 4 wins are Cole Smith, Kevin Natividad, Anderson Dos Santos, and Vince Morales. His 2 losses are Mario Bautista and John Castaneda, and he had a no contest, which is not true. Did he pop for something? I think he did. What did he pop? What did he pop for, Miles? No kind when he tapped pop for. Oh, good fucking job, dickhead. But yeah, he did beat Dan Argueta, but he popped, so good job. Miles, when he's on, is a really good fighter. We've seen that against Dos Santos, against Natividad versus Morales. But he always seems to fall short when he fights these higher level guys like Mario Bautista and John Castaneda, who are very good fighters. There's no fault in losing to those guys, but you should be probably looking a little better. So, because he has not looked really good in those fights from what I remember. So, but again, he is a good fighter, but he is prone to quitting at times. His gas tank is pretty terrible. But when he's ready to go, he's good. He has power in his hands. He's a good striker. He's a good wrestler. He's good. He's a very good fighter who just has fell short a lot in UFC. And this is a big chance for him to get a big win against a dude who might have lost his last fight, but he is still riding high. And I guess we'll just have to see how Miles looks here. So this is a big chance for him to get a really good win, especially after a win got turned to a no contest on his side. So I guess we'll have to see if he can get back in win column. So yeah, Miles is a good fighter, but his gas tank and his prone quitting abilities are a big problem. So we'll see how he does. To talk about his opponent, Cody Gibson. Cody is back in UFC after a banger fight in his last fight where he did lose to Brad Katona, but it was one of the best fights of the year last year, so they had to give him a contract, as they should have, and, well, I think they were going to anyway, but still. But, yeah, in the tough finale, he had a fucking legendary banger with Katona, and now he's back. He was meant to be fighting David Grant, which I forgot that was even the thing. Oh my god, that would have been a great fight. But, and now he's fighting Miles in much more favorable matchup, and still gonna be a great fight, so. But, Cody in that Katona fight looked great. He walked forward and just went to war. He didn't give a shit. He just said, fuck you, I'm going to war. And he did. He had a war. He did lose, even though I think it was closer than a lot of people say it was. But he did look good, and now we see how he does in his second run in UFC. 36 years old at bantamweight, not the greatest thing in the world, but with his fighting style and a matchup like this, he could win this fight. So I'm happy Cody's back in UFC. I think he's very entertaining. He might not be the best fighter in the world, but he's entertaining, and I guess we'll see how he does. Let's see if he makes the most of his second chance. Cody's back. The bet answers site have Miles Johns minus 125 to plus 105. I'm not shocked by those odds. I would have it a pick 'em. I think you could really flip a coin for this one. I think it's one of the hardest fights on the card to predict because it's a great fight, but I could see it going either way. I could see Johns being able to do what Katona did and be the shorter fighter, but be able to land the better shots. Or I could see Cody Gibson walking Miles down, stuffing the takedown, and breaking him over time. So, I'm excited for this fight. I think this could be a banger. And who am I going with? Give me Cody Gibson. I think he's going to be able to walk Miles down, and then he could also fight at range, being so much taller and lengthier. He's a really tall bantamweight. So, I think he'll be able to walk Miles down at will, fight at range at will, stuff takedowns, and win. Round 1, Miles will definitely be an issue. He will be shooting a lot more takedowns, but as that time goes down, second round, third round, Miles is tired. Cody will definitely be putting on the pressure then. I think he'll be able to win this fight. So, my pick here is going to be Cody Gibson by, I think, decision. I think he'll be able to look good here. I think he'll be able to get a win against a guy who is good but definitely beatable, and I'm going to go Cody Gibson by decision. I think he can break Miles. We'll see if I'm right. Gibson by decision. After that, we have to our 6-5 tonight. Topologies can't count, as we have in the featherweight division a pretty decent fight that probably ain't going 15 minutes between Ricardo Carcasina Ramos versus Julian Juicy J Erosa. Very interesting fight here. Could go another very close fight here, so let's begin with Ricardo Ramos. Ramos in the UFC is 7-4. His wins, let me get rid of these grappling bouts. His wins are, well, his best win, I won't name all of them. Eamon Zahabi, Kung Ho Kang, Bill Algeo, Danny Chirez, and his losses: Saeed Nurmagomedov, Lerone Murphy, Zubair Tuhugov, and Charles Jourdain. Ramos is good. When he's on the money and fighting at his best, he is pretty good. We've seen that in the Danny Chirez fight and the Bill Algeo fight. But then we've seen him, when he fights a higher level opponent like a Saeed Nurmagomedov or Charles Jourdain, he does crumble and lose. So, but he is talented. He does have talent. We all know about his 2 great spinning elbows against Danny and Eamon. And again, when the kid's on, he's fighting at a very good level, but he's just been a very hot and cold fighter. He'll win one and lose one, win one and lose one. He can't build momentum. So, that's his really big problem he has. So, but when he's in there at his best, he's good. And he's only 28 years old, and he's been in UFC this long, so he's just gaining experience. We'll see if he can get back on track here. He should be able to, but yeah, it's hard to count out his opponent, and it's hard to trust him at times. So, not a lot. It's a lot to unpack with Ramos, and we'll see if he can just fight a good fight and get in the win column. Gonna be interesting. To talk about his opponent, Julian Erosa. Julian in the UFC is 6-7. Some of his best wins are... Oh, he's actually had 2 stints in the UFC. Some of his best wins are Sean Woodson, Nate Landwehr, Charles Jourdain, Steven Peterson, Hakeem Dawodu. His losses are... Jeez, he was in UFC a bunch. He lost to Artem Lobov. He lost to Patty Pimblett. God, you suck. Devontae Smith, Grant Dawson, Julio Arce, Sungwoo Choi, Alex Casares, Francisco Padilla. He just fought a who's who of opponents, and when when he's able to fight his fight, which is a fun brawl, he can have a banger like the Steven Peterson fight, one of the best fights of 2022. Or when he's able to just have better technique, he's able to have a good fight like Hakeem Dawodu or Charles Jourdain. But when his biggest issue is his chin. He's been KO'd 6 times in the UFC. And they're very vicious KOs. We have Sungwoo Choi ran through him in about 2 minutes. Casares flatlined him in 3 minutes. Padilla ran through him in 2 minutes. Julio Arce KO'd him. Devontae Smith KO'd him. Fucking he has a weak chin, and that's always been his issue. But if he's able to keep his chin under wraps, he can win these fights because he does have talent. He is a good striker. He is a very technical fighter. He's really good on the ground. But again, when his chin is so glass, it's hard for him to get these wins, especially since he's fighting a lot of power punchers like a Francisco Padilla, like a Sungwoo Choi, like a fucking Devontae Smith, to where his best way of winning fights are when he's fighting a much calmer fighter like a Steven Peterson or a fucking when he's not fighting a guy who punches hard. So Juicy J has talent, but getting older and his chin getting weaker somehow it's definitely been affecting him, and I feel like this could be his really last chance. If he loses again, that would be 7 KOs at 34 years old and a 3-fight losing streak. We could be seeing the last walk of Juicy J in the UFC. I would hate to see that happen because I am a Juicy J fan. I feel like most people are because he's just a really fun fighter. But man, is his chin weak. 6 times? Fuck. The betting odds for this fight have Ricardo Ramos at -175 to +150. Yeah, it's hard to disagree. Maybe I'd move him down a little bit but Ramos is definitely untrustworthy. But he should be the favorite here because Erosa is so. Again, his chin is very weak, and if Ramos can connect good enough on it, he should be able to put him out. So, but there is a world where Ramos doesn't get to finish early, he gasses out, and Erosa beats him up. So, that's definitely a possibility that happens. But I just have a problem seeing that possibility happening. So my pick here is going to be Ricardo Ramos. I do think he'll be able to crack Erosa's chin again and send him out cold. So I'm going to go Ricardo Ramos by knockout in the first. He's done it before. I wouldn't be shocked if he land one of those spinning elbows or something else. So yeah, if time a shot right, hit Erosa in the right spot and he'll win. So or Ricardo Ramos by knockout in the first. Should be able to break a very glass chin. And now for the featured prelim, a very decent fight. On paper, it might not be a great one in execution, but you never know. But in our featured prelim in the lightweight division, we have a battle of two veterans between Trey, Samurai Ghost, Ogden versus Kurt Holobaugh. Yeah, not a bad fight. Makes sense. Let's break it down. Let's start with Trey Ogden. Trey in UFC is 2-2. His 2 wins are Daniel Zellhuber and Nicholas Moda. Shitty reffing does not take away a W. And his 2 losses are Jordan Levitt and Ignacio Bahamondes. Ogden looked better in his last fight. Like in his first 3 UFC fights, he was pretty much just a wrestler. He did show some striking upgrades in his last fight with Moda. A good jab, a little bit of striking. Which it does make sense since he is training a lot of guys. He does seem like he's becoming the new James Krause. He's training a lot of fighters. I don't know if this is actually his gym, but yeah, like he's been training Mike Breeden, Garrett Armsfield, a few people he's been starting to train and becoming a coach. So I would not shocked he's getting better as a fighter doing that. But he's getting older. He is 34 years old. So. But yeah, he did look a lot better in his last fight against Nicholas Moda. Not saying Nicholas Moda is some fucking world beater, but he did look decent against him. And like against Zellhuber just didn't fight. I barely count that as a fight. And then he lost to Bahamondes and Levitt, 2 good fighters. Not even mad about it. So yeah, Ogden's a interesting case. He's not good, but he's not. He's getting better. I can't predict this dude's fights, I sort of fuck, but yeah, he's not terrible. I think he has gotten better from the first time we saw him in the UFC, and maybe he'll show that again here, but so far I'm not impressed or not, like, I don't think he's that bad, but again, there's better, there's worse, so. To talk about his opponent, Kurt Holobaugh. Kurt in the UFC is 1-4. He's back in the UFC just like Cody Gibson, and he did not lose the Ultimate Fighter. He actually won the Ultimate Fighter, beating Austin Hubbard. Kurt's a fun fighter. He's a lot like, he's just a brawler. He's no technique needed. He just goes in there and brawls. He's not bad. He's definitely not bad when it's a brawl, but when technique's involved and all that, he's definitely not great. So, yeah, he's not bad, like I said, but he's brawl. If the fight gets technical, he's gonna lose. So, and we saw that in his early UFC fights with Moises and all that, because. Or like with Hani Barcelos, you can go to war with Hani Barcelos, it might not end well for you. So, but yeah, Kurt's back. He's trying to make right of the wrongs of his first UFC run, just like Gibson earlier. Let's see if he can. He's fun on the feet. He can go to the ground. Gonna be an interesting fight. The betting odds first fight, I have Trey Ogden -150 at +125. I get it. I definitely get it. I have this a pick'em in my opinion. On the feet, it's definitely Holobaugh, I think, all the way. But on the ground, I think it's very close. Ogden is definitely pretty good on the ground. Like, they both have a lot of submissions, 11 for Ogden, 10 for Holobaugh. I think that's probably where this fight's gonna take place, the ground. Maybe. I don't know. I'm torn, like, apart, like, part of me thinks if it's on the feet, I think Holobaugh will be able to win. But I don't think Ogden's going to stride away from striking, from going to the ground with Holobaugh. I think he'll be able to. I think he'll think he's better on the ground. And if he does think that, we'll see what happens. This is a tough one to predict. Even on the feet, if Ogden is getting better striking, if he just throws some technique out there, I don't know. I could see Ogden shooting a takedown, getting submitted. I could see him shooting a takedown and winning the round. I think this is a very tough fight to predict, and I'm very interested to see how it goes. So, who am I going to pick? Fuck. Because I'm thinking that this fight's definitely one that you really don't know how it's gonna go. If it's on the ground, I think could go either way. If it's on the feet, Holobaugh should win, but I don't know how. I'm not like super 10 toes down on that. So, fuck. Give me Trey Ogden. I don't know why. Give me Ogden. I see a world where he's able to get takedowns and not get submitted. I think he's a lot smarter of a fighter than Austin Hubbard. And he was able not to get submitted by Jordan Levitt. He lost, but still. Give me Trey Ogden. I think he'll be able to win this fight. Maybe I'm stupid, but I could see it. Give me Ogden by decision. I don't know why. I really don't know why. But that's what I feel. That's what I'm feeling. Will it bite me in the ass? Probably. Just like Natan Levy last week. But I'm going to go Trey Ogden. I feel like he can get the takedowns and win this fight, instead of Kurt swarming him with punches and finishing him. So, I'm going to go for the coach. I'm going to go with Trey Ogden by decision. So, those are the prelims. Not a bad prelims at all. When the worst fight on it, the first fight, you're doing pretty well. This could be interesting. I'm excited for this. And then these 4 fights could be fun. So, not a pretty solid prelims with a lot of difficult fights to predict. And now we head to our main card, which begins with another fight that's definitely not easy to predict. So, let's see what happens. Let's just get right into it as we begin the main card in the featherweight division with a fight between Luis Corazon de Leon Pajuelo versus Fernando El Valentine Padilla. Pretty fun fight here. This should easily be a banger. And let's talk about Luis Pajuelo. Luis is making his UFC debut, coming off Contender Series where he looked really good, beating Robbie Ring. He looked really good. He looked very well-rounded in that fight. Definitely a problem with him is he's only won to decision twice. So that's definitely a red flag for him. But besides that, he looked really good on Contender Series. His striking looked good. He was able to finish him on the ground. He looked good. He another debuting guy, which I really don't got much to say. Besides, again, he looked good. His striking looked solid. His ground game's not bad. He's decent. He's definitely a decent fighter, and I'm intrigued to see him debut here. And they're giving him a very fun fight to debut with. So, yeah, not really. I don't got much to say about these debuting guys, because most of them really don't make a giant impact on me for me to remember. So, but yeah, I do remember Luis looked good, and I'm very interested to see him debut here. So, that's about all I can say. To talk about his opponent, Fernando Padilla. Padilla in the UFC is 1-1 in his UFC debut. He knocked out Julian Erosa, and then his last fight he looked pretty terrible against Kyle Nelson. I still think he won that fight, but whatever. He's a weird fighter. I'm kind of confused with him after that Nelson fight, because he looked pretty terrible. He did win that fight in my opinion. Nelson's not good. And you should be looking 10 times better versus Kyle Nelson, who sucks. But, okay. Now he's getting a difficult fight here, and we'll see how he does. I have my doubts about him in this fight, and I guess they'll all be answered. He has power, he is a decent striker, and he has ground game, but it looks like if he can't get any of that to work, he kind of just falls apart. If his striking ain't doing much, he's not going to go to the ground with Kyle Nelson, so that was off the table. His striking just really didn't pop off in that fight, and then his cardio didn't. His cardio looked okay, but he was definitely gassed by the 3rd round. So I'm interested to see how Padilla bounces back from that, because he needs to bounce back in a big way, because that was embarrassing. So let's see how he bounces back, man. The betting odds for this fight have Padilla -170 to 45. I say pick him. After that last fight, it's hard to really put a lot of face into Padilla. If you're looking like shit versus Kyle Nelson, how good are you gonna look against someone who actually is a good fighter? And not even Luis is some fucking great fighter, but come on, it's not Kyle. You gotta do better versus Kyle fucking Nelson. So, this is gonna be a fun fight. If they're when they strike, this is gonna be a fun fight. If they go to the ground, it's probably gonna be because of Padilla, and I think that'll be very interesting. The height and reach would be a huge problem for Luis, being shorter and a fucking 7-inch reach disadvantage. So that could be a real problem for him. But if he can find a way to fucking get on the inside and do his thing, he can win this fight. So I'm intrigued. I'm very excited for this fight. And who the fuck am I going with? Give me Luis Pajuelo. I think he'll be able to fight his fight, mentally break Padilla like Nelson did to an extent, and I think he can win this fight. So I'm going to Luis Pajuelo by decision. Another underdog. Let's see how it plays out. I have little faith. I'm probably going to be wrong, but you gotta take long shots to fucking hit the bullseye, don't you? Let's see what happens. Luis by decision. Not a lot. I just noticed I'm picking so few finishes. That might stop soon. Probably not. And I don't think it will in our next fight. But this fight will be fun, but I doubt it will give us a finish. As our next fight in the featherweight division, again, we stay there. We have a fight that could be fun, even if it's pretty easy to predict. As we have Billy Quarantillo versus the Moroccan Devil, Yusuf Zalal. Yes, for some reason Zalal is back. Really, he's only back because Gabriel Miranda pulled out of this fight with Billy Q, and Billy Q wanted to stay on this card. So, he got a new opponent, he stays on the card, and now he's fighting Yusuf Zalal, which is, in my opinion, probably a step down from Gabriel Miranda. So, yeah. Let's start by talking about Billy Q. I think we all know Billy Q by now. 6-3 in the UFC. Some of his his wins are Jacob Kilburn, Spike Carlisle, Kyle Nelson, Gabriel Benitez, Anthony Hernandez, Alexander Hernandez, and Damon Jackson. His losses are Gavin Tucker, Shane Burgos, and Edson Barboza. He's good he's really good. When the fight's a brawl and he can just go to war, it's gonna be a fun fight. But it's when it's more technical and he's fighting these better fighters is when Billy Q kinda doesn't look great. And look at all his wins. His best win is Damon Jackson. So he can't really, it just seems like he's not able to beat these better fighters. So, but he's very good. Like, Billy Q is very good when he's able to fight his fight and fight at his best. But he is getting older, too. He is 35 years old. So, but again, he is good. And I am excited to see him back here. And in a very easy fight for him. So, his striking is great. His cardio is great. He has that dog in him. His ground game's good. He's just a really solid fighter who could be a ranked level fighter if he could just jump over that hump of beating a ranked level fighter. So, I don't know. I like Billy Q, and I'm excited he's gonna get back. I'm excited he's going to win another fight here, but I want to see him beat these better fighters already. So, but whatever. To talk about his opponent real quick, Yusuf Zalal, really nothing to say. He sucked. He sucked the first time he was in the UFC, he's gonna suck again. And he's undefeated since leaving the UFC. Beating a 6-2, 9-3, boxing, kickboxing, 0-0. Yeah, he still sucks and he's gonna lose again. Pretty easy. The betting odds have Billy Q minus 165 plus 135. I'd have Billy a giant favorite minus 3 to 400. I don't see him losing this fight. He's better on the feet. He's better on the ground. He has better cardio. He has that dog in him. He's gonna win this fight. So my pick here is gonna be Billy Q, and in fact, he is my lock of the night. That's how it is. It's not an easy night for locks, but whatever. Yeah, the biggest favorite on the card is minus 220, so what does that tell you? But, yeah, my pick here is Billy Q. I think he should win this fight pretty easily. Just beat up Zalal for 15 minutes and get a W. So, yeah, I'm going Billy Quarantillo by decision, lock of the night. Zalal is going to suck again like he did before. Nothing else to say. After that, we had to our third fight of the main card, and my favorite fight on the card, and I think you could say the best fight on the card, because I cannot wait for this banger. This is gonna be fucking amazing. And then our third fight of the night in the men's bantamweight division, we have Payton Talbott versus Cameron MSP Simon. What a fucking fight here. Certified hood classic in this bitch. What a fight. I can't fucking wait. Let's do this. Let's talk about Payton Talbott, my boy. Payton in the UFC, the 1-0 coming out Contender Series, and what can I say about Payton? He's so fucking good. Like, he's 25 years old, and he is already so fucking good. His striking is so crisp, it's fucking silly. His ground game is much to be desired. His takedown defense is bad, but fuck, who needs that? Fuck that. We out here striking. We out here fucking striking, man. We ain't doing no fucking pussy fucking grappling. We out here striking. So, and on the feet, no one's beating Talbott. So, on the feet at least. So, yeah, Talbott's a problem, man. Talbott's really good, and he's only 25 in his 7th career fight. Oh. He's gonna be a problem for a lot of guys on the feet. So he's good. This kid's the future, man. Future Mini O'Malley, man. He's the future. Payton Talbott, man. To talk about his opponent, Cameron Simon. Cameron in the UFC is 3-1. His 3 wins: Steven Kozlo, Mana Martinez, and Terrence Mitchell. And in his last fight, he lost to C-Rod. Yeah, losing to C-Rod's a terrible look. He could have looked better, and I think he won that fight, but whatever. C-Rod fucking sucks anyway, so fuck C-Rod. I definitely think Simon won that fight. He's a weird fighter. He's not bad, but the kid is still very green. Yeah, he's only 23 years old, but again, he's very green as a fighter. He needs to improve. Like, the C-Rod fight and Kozlo fight even definitely showed some problems with his game. And if he doesn't start improving soon, it's going to go really bad for him. Because the kid does have potential. But, yeah. And they're not being nice. To get a step up after you just lost is really fucked up. UFC really giving this kid, some fucking interesting treatment. So we'll see how this goes for him. We'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. I think that I think his record's gonna go from 9-0 to 9-2 real quick. So, and he's good. Like the time on is good. I don't see him winning this fight. The betting for this fight have Payton Talbott minus 140 to plus 120. Yeah, obviously. This fight comes down to this. On the feet, it's Talbott all day. On the ground, yeah, Simon's better, but is Simon even this fucking... Is he even as good of a grappler as Nick Aguirre? No. So, like, Simon's best chance of... Fuck, what the fuck? Simon's best chance winning this fight is taking it to the ground. And he's... let's factor another thing in. Talbott has a better gas tank. Simon's gonna be gassed by, like, late round 2. And Talbott should be able to win this fight. I really don't see him losing this fight. On the feet, he wins. On the ground, he might not win, but he's not going to get dominated. Talbott's going to win this fight, man. He's a beast. He's holding that belt in that picture. When O'Malley feels like giving up the bantamweight belt, he'll be on the bantamweight belt, man. Talbott's a beast. Can't wait to see him fight again, and he's going to get a win here. So, Payton Talbott by decision, you already know the deal, motherfuckers. Banger. After that, we had to our 4th fight of the main card, and what the fuck happened to this guy? Jesus Christ. And this is another short notice replacement fight. So, let's talk about it. As in our 4th fight of the main card, in the middleweight division, we have Edmund the Golden Boy Shabazian versus AJ Dobson. AJ Dobson is stepping in for Dushko Todorovic. So, and that was a couple weeks ago. So, maybe like 2 weeks ago. So, yeah. Wow, Edmund fell off a cliff. Let's start talking about Edmund. Edmund in the UFC is 5-4. His 5 wins are Darren Stewart, Charles Bird, Jack Marshman, Brad Tavares, and Dolce Lungambula. His 4 losses are Derek Brunson, Jack Hermanson, Nasruddin Imavov, and Anthony Hernandez. Man, he really just sucks. He just really sucks as a fighter. Like, he has no cardio, he has no ground game. He's just knockout or bust in the first round, maybe the second round, and that's it. He's a terrible fighter, man. He's so bad. Like, the Fluffy fight showed that, like, it started with Brunson doing it, and then Hermanson smashed him. Imavov smashed him. Fluffy smashed him. It's just getting worse and worse for Edmund, and now he's fighting a can like AJ fucking Dobson. Dude, he's one of the most interesting rises and falls ever. Like, he went from, like, a top prospect, Izzy's talking about fighting him on JRE, to now he's fucking fighting AJ Dobson in the Apex. What the fuck, man? What the fuck? To talk about his opponent, AJ Dobson, AJ in the UFC is 1-2. His 1 win is Tafon Nchukwi, and his 2 losses are Jacob Malkoun and Armin Petrosian. He's not very good. His striking's whatever, but he's really just a wrestler. He does go to Immortal Gym with Matt Brown, Mark Coleman, and he is coming off his first career win. He did beat Tafon Nchukwi, which ain't saying much, but still. So he's riding momentum, and he's riding high, man. Get this win for Coleman. Yeah, AJ's game plan is gonna be simple. Get it to the ground and win. I think it happened. I definitely think it could happen. And if it does happen, dude, it's over for Edmund. It's fucking over, so. We'll see what happens. Dobson's game plan is very simple. Let Edmund gas out, take him to the ground, and win. Don't be shocked if that happens. The betting on this fight have Edmund Shabazian -185 to +150. I don't see it. I think Edmund should be a favorite. I'd probably have him -130. But how could you have him such a big favorite at this point with how shitty he looked in his last 4 of his last 5 fights? So, I'm going to go AJ Dobson. I think he can wrestle Edmund and win. Who has a better gas tank? AJ Dobson. Who the fuck has better ground game? AJ Dobson. In round 1, it's going to be scary because there's a good chance Edmund could finish him. But when round 2 hits and Edmund's starting to breathe heavy and all that, AJ Dobson's going to take over and win, in my opinion. So, I want AJ Dobson by decision. I think he can fucking take over this fight, do whatever he wants later in the fight and win. Well, maybe this will age badly. That's what I think's going to happen. So, I'm going AJ Dobson by decision. I think it's the end of Edmund. I think Edmund's run is pretty much over. One of the craziest falls in UFC history. Crazy. AJ Dobson by decision. After that, we go to our co-main event of the evening. A fight that was changed, a week or 2 ago, and for actually a very funny reason, and we'll talk about it in a second. But in our co-main event of the evening, we head back to heavyweight for Carl Williams versus Justin Badman Tafa. Funny enough, Justin Tafa is stepping in for his brother, Junior Tafa, who stepped in to fight Marcus Rogerio de Lima at 298. So, just brothers doing brother things, and you love to fucking see it. So, yeah, Tafa stepping in to fight Williams on very short notice. Let's see what happens. Let's talk about Carl Williams. Carl in the UFC is 2-0 in his 2 wins. He's beat Lucas Bresky and Chase Sherman. He looked good against Bresky, looked very good, and then he looked like shit versus Chase Sherman. Like, he looked really fucking terrible versus Sherman, and that was very disappointing performance in a fight he should have looked great in. He looked like a fucking joke. So, he has no striking. His striking is fucking garbage. It's just wrestling. And You know, it can work at heavyweight because heavyweight sucks, but god damn, man. Chase Sherman's giving you a fight? That's sad. That is truly, truly sad. But yeah, Williams is a really good wrestler, and that's about it. Now, to talk about his opponent, who I feel like we all know very well by now, Justin Tafa. Tafa in the UFC is 4-3-1. His 4 wins, Juan Adams, Henry Hunsucker, Parker Porter, and Austin Lane, and the 3 losses are Yorgan de Castro, Carlos Felipe, and Jared Vandera. If he had a full camp for this fight, I could see a world where he wins this fight, but coming off an injury, I forget, what was his injury? It didn't say, but I think he, like, fucked up his, like, leg or something. Coming off an injury, fucking no camp, throwing your brother to the wolves to fight fucking Lima. Like, this is a lot easier fight than Lima, don't get me wrong. Like, Junior Tafa got the short end of the stick. He went from fighting Carl Williams to fighting Marcos Rogerio de Lima, as Tafa went the vice versa. But Tafa definitely struggles against wrestlers also. So, and Williams' takedowns are really good. He just fucking runs right through you more. So, if Williams has had, what, a year to get better? He's been off for a while. If Williams hasn't improved at least some of his striking, he'll get knocked out here. But I think he should be able to get takedowns. He should be able to get a takedown with Tafa. I'm probably gonna get this fight wrong, because I can't fucking predict Justin Tafa fights for shit. But, I don't know. We'll see what happens. The betting odds have Carl Williams minus 225 to plus 185. I don't agree. I'd have Williams more, probably minus 170, 160. Because with Justin Tafa, there's always that chance a chin can get cracked. But at the same time, coming off an injury and changing opponents really quickly into completely different opponents, not a fun thing. So I think I'm going to go with Carl Williams here. I don't like it because I would like to see Tafa win this fight, but I think I'm going to go Williams. I think he should be able to win this fight. Just get takedowns and keep Tafa down. If he can survive round 1, he already won in that regard. But that first few minutes of him trying to get on the inside, takedown, are going to be very scary. If he can't get on the inside and do that, he's going to get put to sleep. But if he can get on the inside, take Tafa down early, gas him out, then he's going to win this fight. So I'm going to go Carl Williams by decision. I would like to see Tafa win, but I think I'm going to go with Williams. Maybe I'll change it. I doubt it. Give me Carl Williams by decision. Yeah, give me Williams by decision. We'll see what happens. Could go either a knockout or a WrestleFest is going to happen. We'll see which it is Saturday night. And now, time for the main event of the evening. A fight that should not be a main event, even though it is a good fight. Don't get me wrong, it's a good fight, and it's going to be a fun fight, but it should not be a main event. But either way, we have in the women's flyweight division, not strawweight, Amanda Ribas versus Thug Rose Namajunas. Very fun fight. This is going to be a fun brawl. So let's see who wins. I'll talk about Amanda Ribas a little bit, because I guess she's definitely the lesser known fighter of the two here. Ribas in the UFC is 7-3. This is her first UFC main event, and let's see her make the most of it. Ever since moving up to flyweight, she has been looking really good. Like, her only loss is to Macy Barber. She got robbed against Chukagian, so she's 3-1 at fucking flyweight, and again, she looked good. She looked great. Well, actually, no, my bad. She's 2-1. I forgot Pinheiro. She did go back down and fight Pinheiro. So yeah, but at flyweight, the weight class they're fighting at, she is 2-1. But even though this is just a strawweight fight up a weight class, so. But yeah, and she looked great in her last fight against Pinheiro. And Ribas is one of those fighters who I feel like she's one of the underrated dogs of the UFC, because she does have that dog in her. She's just she goes in there to fight, and she, like, we see that in the Pinheiro fight with Araujo, with Shukagan. She just goes in there and fights. And not a lot of people can handle that shit, man. She broke Pinheiro. She's done it, like, she just goes in there to fight. And that's just on the feet. On the ground, she's scary good on the ground. Like, she has 4 wins by submission, 3 by KO. Like, her cardio's good. She has heart. She's just really good. And that's why, you know, as much as I fucking hate Barber to an extent, the fact that she was able to break Ribas is impressive. So, Ribas is good, man, and this is a big chance for her to put her name on that fucking map, big and bold, and put herself up towards the title fight. So she can get a win here against a legend. It's gonna be interesting. And then talk about Rose. Do I really need to break down Rose Namajunas? A legend, first ballot Hall of Famer, who's been on a really bad skid lately. She's lost 2 in a row, 2 bad performances. And if she loses this, then there's going to be some questions. She's in the same spot as Taito Iwaza last week. She really badly needs a win as she's on a losing streak and she's getting older. She really needs a win here. And will she get it? I don't know. Does Rose, I think the main question, is Rose washed? Yeah. But not even to the level of washed like that. Like, washed, I think, gets the annotation of she's, like, terrible. She's getting older and she's slowing down. She's still a good fighter. Like, she did not look that terrible against Manan, but her strikes are getting slower. Her cardio is getting worse. She's getting older. She's 31 years old. Gonna be 32 this year. She's done it all, and does she, again, another thing, she's done it all, 2-time UFC champion. Does she still have that fire? Probably to an extent, but not to what she had before, so I think this is going to be an interesting fight. This is going to answer a lot of questions about both, but mainly this is Rose's last chance. If she loses here, it's going to be weird to see what happens next, so I'm intrigued. I'm excited. I think this is going to be a really good fight, like I said. For 25 minutes, they're going to strike and go to war. If it goes to the ground, Ribas would probably sub Rose. So, but the funny thing, I don't see Ribas taking Rose down. I think she wants to strike and win this shit on the feet, and I think she can. I think she can break Rose. Rose has not really fought many people as crazy as Ribas. Maybe Whaley, but she took Whaley down. And Whaley's not as good of a grappler as Ribas and Joanna. But again, Joanna's more technical. Ribas is just fucking crazy. And I'm excited to see how this fight plays out. I think this would be really interesting. So, yeah. The betting after this fight are actually not what they found in Tapology. Rose is up to -220 now, which is fucking insane. And Ribas is about +180, which I don't get at all. No joke, I'd either have this a pick'em, or I'd probably have Ribas the favorite. I don't know how you can have Rose the favorite on a 2-fight losing streak, and it has looked bad in those 2 fights. So, and my pick here is Amanda Ribas. I think she'll be able to break Rose on the feet. If it goes to ground, she's going to be the better fighter. And over 25 minutes, I think she has a better gas tank. So, and I know the Barber fight comes up again, but Barber and Rose fights nothing like Barber, so she won't be able to break Ribas like Barber did. She's not a little pit bull going after. She's not going to be a pit bull going after Ribas for 25 minutes. She's going to be fighting like Rose, and maybe in round 1 and 2 that could work, but as that fight gets deeper, I think Ribas is going to drown Rose, and I think Ribas is going to walk away for W here. So, my pick here is Amanda Ribas by decision. I think it's going to be a fun fight. I think it's going to answer a lot of questions, and I'm very interested to see who walks out the winner. But I'm going Amanda Ribas by decision in her first main event. I think she might close the book on the thug. Does Rose retire if she loses? Now that would be interesting. That's for a different conversation in the recap. Amanda Ribas by decision. Boom. Those are my picks. To go over them one more time. Mohammed Usman by decision. André Lima by decision. Darya Zheleznyakova by decision. Nguyen by not TKO in the second. Cody Gibson by decision. Ricardo Ramos by knockout in the first. Trey Ogden by decision. Luis Pajuelo by decision. Billy Q, my lock of the night, by decision. Payton Talbott by decision. AJ Dobson by decision. Carl Williams by decision. And Thug Rose by decision. Bang. I know a lot of decisions, but you know me, I don't force fucking finishes. And plus, I doubt there's a finish here. I don't know if there will be one here. Maybe, possibility. I doubt it. Possibility if Tafel wins, and I doubt it. So maybe I'll change some finishes in depending on what happens at weigh-ins and all that. But right now, I think those are my picks fully, and I'm excited for the card. So, and this is one of those cards where I expect to get a lot wrong. I expect to have a shit night. If I walk away with a fucking 2 right, 12, 11 wrong, I'm okay with it. So, if the card's good, that's all that matters. Because in a card like this, where it is, excuse me, really hard to predict, I would rather go into this expecting to not do good than expect to do good and suck, and then I'd be upset. So, this is a card I would stay away from as a bettor if I did bet, and this is a card where I just watch as a fan more than anything, because it's gonna be a fun card, and when your only bad fights are Mohammed, Usman, and what Carl Williams fight could be pretty bad if he wins. I don't know. I'm excited for this card, and I think the main event being week 1 kind of gives it a bad light, but I think it's gonna be a fun fight nonetheless, and I'm excited. So, yeah, I expect to do shit on picks, and I guess we'll find out Sunday 1 p.m. EST if I do when I do a recap. So, yeah. Unless I'm forgetting to say something, I don't think I am. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, subscribe. 100 subs go by the end of the gear. End of the gear. Yes, end of the gear. By the end of the year, I'll talk to y'all Sunday 1 p.m. EST for the recap. And as always, RX out. Yo, out. Good vibes, only and always.